Hello everyone, Steve Tober for Sideline Chatter Spotlight. Another boys basketball season is upon us and underway. We're going to get into talking about the best players and teams throughout New Jersey for the new winter season. And I'm glad you made it through Hurricane Sandy. Not an easy time for anybody in the state, and all our best wishes for everyone out there in recovery that continues, and happy holidays as well. Joining me, a great historian of high school basketball, the president for Thirst for Knowledge, Martin Cox. And Martin, great season to look at. I think a little more parity overall by the elite teams. St. Anthony, a bit ado to Kyle Anderson now at UCLA. A little more wide open at the top, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, Steve. You can never count St. Anthony's out, and all of us across the state certainly have them as the preseason number one. Hurley's on a 65-game winning streak, as many teams will attempt to knock him off in New Jersey, but they return a powerhouse team again for the 2012/13 season.
Josh Brown going to Temple, one of their top players, and they've got a lot of balance and a lot of depth as usual. But you look at teams like Hudson Catholic under Nick Marinello with Reggie Cameron and company, Roseville Catholic with Tyler Roberson, St. Joe's Metuchen with Carl Towns, and you can go on with a few other teams along the way. There's some teams out there that can knock them off.
Oh, absolutely. It'll be really interesting to see. St. Anthony's, I think, will have to stay healthy. They won't have the same depth that they have from an experience standpoint. But again, a Hurley coach team is always difficult to beat, especially in the state of New Jersey.
How about Gill St. Bernard's, a team, Jaron Cena. They added a couple other people. I know Chris Jenkins came over from Morristown Beard, a player that I like very much in Morris County. It looks like Mergen Cena and company still have a powerhouse at Gill.
Yeah, he's also brought Colbert in, so they're going to be big. They're going to be athletic, more athletic than you've seen on any other team I think that they've had, and they're going to be tough to beat, and they play a national schedule, so they'll be ready come playoff time.
Martin, how about a couple of teams, again, a change in names, change in location in the county, in Union County, but the Patrick School, DeAndre Bembry, a player we like very much, committed to St. Joe's. But how does a Patrick School figure in, you think?
Oh, they're going to be tough to beat. They're going to really be tough to beat. They're going to bounce back. Last year was a unbelievably down year for them by their standards, but I think they're going to be certainly in the top 10 in the state of New Jersey throughout the season.
Pope John up in Sussex County with Jermaine Lawrence out of New York City last year. A team neither one of us really knows that much about, but we're seeing players land in all different kinds of places, which makes it intriguing and also kind of interesting.
Certainly, we always hear that no one in New Jersey recruits, but many of us would dispute that statement as you see players showing up in non-traditional basketball powerhouses, and both in the public and in the private schools, which private obviously don't have the residency requirement.
And the public school realm, and a lot of teams we've spoken about are private or parochials. A team you saw a lot, the great Plainfield team that you were very close to the last few years that graduated that ton of great guys off that team. A Teaneck, who you met many times. And that's another team among the publics.
Right.
With Hernandez and company. Jerome Smart's done a nice job with them. That's a team that could still figure in.
Right, absolutely. Teaneck has been probably the best team in the state not to win a title in the last 2 years. Very few losses over the last 2 years. They'll be loaded. They'll be deep again this year, and are going to challenge for the Group 3 title.
How do you see Plainfield restructuring itself? I know they're not really. I mean, they brought in. There was a young player that was at Seton Hall last summer, who's now there, a sophomore, 6'5" kid, and they have the younger Sears, who's I guess a different kind of a player, a swing player. But how do you see them retooling over the next year?
Very young, a tough early season schedule in Union County, which has the Patty School twice, Roseville Catholic twice, Elizabeth twice, and Linden twice. 4 teams that are in my top 25. So it'll be tough to compete with that. I think in Union County this year, there's the top 4, and then everyone else falls behind that. So it'll be inexperienced, but Jeff Lebreski always gets the most out of his players.
Yeah, Lebreski, maybe under the radar a bit. They said he's had so much talent at Plainfield, but he's really done a super job in terms of getting those players ready for the big games. And one of those coaches out there, maybe not the ink that a Hurley gets or even a Marinello, but does a solid job.
Oh, absolutely. He's a guy who's won over 300 games all time in his time at South Plainfield and now at Plainfield. 4 straight sectional titles. He played for 3 straight one Group 3 title, 4 title 3 years ago, and then won 2 straight Group 3 titles, and was one of the last 2 teams standing in New Jersey for the last 2 years against St. Anthony's in the TOC final.
Another elite team. Now we still have to see them prove themselves beyond Union County. which they did last year. Roselle Catholic with Tyler Roberson committed to Syracuse. Dave Boff, again, has assembled quite a bit of talent. Malachi Richardson from Trenton Catholic. Players congregating there to play for the Lions. This team still has something to prove, though, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Top 10 talent, and we'll see as the season goes on. Again, it's going to be very tough to come out of Union County again this year, and they have a tough schedule for the whole slate this season.
Now, you've seen Seton Hall Prep in a scrimmage, and Kevin Williams taking over last year for Bobby Farrell. Spencer Weiss, we both like, a very strong all-around player committed to Princeton. But they've had to retool quite a bit. They have young T.J. Gibbs, the third Gibbs brother, to come along for the Pirates. But how do you think the Seton Hall Prep Pirates are going to shape up?
I wouldn't say rebuilding. I'd say retooling. But again, they're a great program historically, and it will be interesting to see what happens this year. But it certainly doesn't hurt to have a guy like Spencer who's been on varsity for 4 years. That's certainly going to help to lead that program.
And you're all state, Martin, at this point. We're looking at the state situation on this first segment of the Sideline Chatter Spotlight. Martin Cox for Thirst for Knowledge. And who would be your first five in New Jersey?
Oh, without a doubt, Reggie. I'll start with Carl Towns in the middle. He deserves the ink that he's going to get. Carl Towns, certainly Reggie Cameron at Hudson Catholic. I don't think anybody can dispute that. If Tyler Roberson is healthy, if he's healthy and plays the whole season, certainly there. Josh Brown at St. Anthony's. Jared Cena, I don't know that he'll make first team All-State, but there's some other guys out there. DeAndre Bembry could certainly slide into the top 10. There's a lot of guys who could end up All-State this season.
Do you think people really realize how good of a player Bembry is? I mean, I've seen him a couple of times. He's really impressive on the full court.
No, I don't think they do, because St. Anthony's has had such a history of turning out pros, not just great college players, many of whom were one and done, and in the old days they would go right to the pros. But he is certainly one of the greatest players all time in Patty's / the Patrick School history.
Yeah. Martin Cox, Steve Tober, Sideline Chatter Spotlight, brought to you by Connor Chevrolet. Visit Dean and Irving and the boys in West Caldwell for the finest automobiles, certainly on the Chevy side of things. When we come back, we'll talk about Essex and Union County here on Sideline Chatter Spotlight.